Hey guys, I have to head out in a couple minutes, but I did want to just take a moment to talk about something I was just working with a student on. So, for those of you who take English classes or maybe go into like language centers or maybe you work with me, I know a lot of my students check out the streams and things like that. Something I just always want to remind you of. So, I was working with a student. He was feeling a little bit, I won't say like discouraged, but he was thinking about his progress, and he's like, "Man, I don't feel like I'm going as fast as I can." And so we were talking, and it's like, "All right, well, what is the amount of time you're putting into this? Like, you're going to class, sure, and he's one of my students who meets with me pretty frequently, but it's like, what are you doing outside of class? Are you listening to our recordings every time I have a class with a student? We do recordings so that way you can hear my voice and you can hear your voice. Are you listening to these things? He's currently based in North America. Are you actively seeking out opportunities to use your English and apply what we talk about in class? And you can probably guess what his answer is, but I think this kind of just speaks to something that I really need us to be cognizant of. And I've talked about this before, and if you're a student, that probably had this conversation with you at some point as well, where I think that sometimes taking classes towards anything, or like reading education online and things like that, it can be really dangerous towards whatever goal you have because it makes you feel like you're moving closer, and you are, but it's also preventing you from doing other actions that might actually move the needle faster for you. That would actually allow you to see more visible progress in a quicker way. And the reason that happens is because I think when we take classes or like when we seek education online, it makes us feel like we're acquiring more information and we're learning, and it's that alone can make us feel really good. But I think the thing that we need to remember is that at the end of the day, that's not the same thing as doing the real hard work of, for instance, I'll use class as an example. In class, you don't really know what you sound like. Okay, that's one of the reasons why I really like group classes, because in group classes you can hear what people are doing and you can hear the feedback and apply it to yourself. So that's one of the reasons why I really like that. But if it's a one-on-one class, you're probably not getting a ton of opportunities to hear yourself until after, and that's where you can really start making the growth. So like sometimes students ask me like, "Hey Jeff, like how long of a class should I sign up for? Should I do a half-hour class? Should I do an hour?" And why I tend to lean towards a half-hour class. But what I tell students is that, hey, block out an hour for class, but then block out a half hour afterwards, so then you can review all the things we discussed, because that's going to be way more meaningful. It's going to remind you of all the things from class, but you'll be able to hear yourself and taking that very intentional time. And it's work. And I think this is the thing, is that when we just take classes, yeah, we take classes, but we're not necessarily working. You know, we can kind of just like have a conversation with the teacher, do some exercises, things like that. But the real application and the real absorption of that info comes afterwards. And if we're not spending that time on our own, really analyzing what we did or being intentional about our interactions with native speakers and things like that, it's going to be hard for you to see the progress you're looking for. Classes can feel very safe. Looking up YouTube videos can make you feel real safe, like you're learning a little bit. But the question is, how can you take it a step further? And how can you do that every day? And what's the amount of time you can do that for every day? If it's 5 minutes, cool. I would love it if all of my students spent 5 minutes just reviewing the audio. I would love it. But the fraction of students that does that is very, very small. So, and the other thing too is that don't think that is necessarily easy to do. I have some students where I give them like almost like 1 minute challenges. I'm like, hey, do this every day for 1 minute. It's really hard. It's just 1 minute, but it's hard to do something for 1 minute every day. So my challenge for you is, what's something that you can try doing 1 minute every day, and what's something you could stick to? Like, can you listen to an audio file of yourself shadowing every day for a minute? Can you do that? Um, can you make a new audio file analyze that every day for a minute? Can you do an exercise on a vowel minimal pair, like maybe looking at words like sit, seat, hit, heat? Can you do that every day for a minute? Things like that, you know. So that's just a quick challenge I would have for you as you get into the weekend. Okay, which I hope you have a good one. But my challenge for you is, what's something new this weekend that you could do to push your language, your English, especially from a pronunciation perspective, to the next level? And if you have some ideas that you think other people would benefit from, you can write them in the comments. All right, guys. Like I said, I do have to run, but I will see you all later. Hope you have a good weekend. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon. What's up? What's up to Milad in the chat? I see you, buddy. I will see you guys later.